The views expressed on this program are those of the commenters alone. They do not represent the views or opinions of Valley News Live, our parent company, or our advertisers.
Welcome back. Tonight in the Hot Box, the milk break spoiled by the GOP. That's the headline going across a lot of today's wires, if you will. Live from Bismarck tonight in the Hot Box, we've got Representative Joe Heilman and Josh Boucher. To both you gentlemen, thanks so much for being with me tonight. Josh, I want to start with you. Did you have one or any school district come to you and say, hey, we need assistance with this mid-morning snack?
No, this came from a constituent. So they had interacted with kids that they knew that needed assistance with paying for their milk during their milk break. So that's really where it drove from. And then I went to talk to the food and nutrition staff over at the Department of Public Instruction, and they verified that they knew of the needs throughout the state and worked that way.
So what kind of needs are you talking about? Maybe for people that aren't up to speed as to what you've proposed, what are you looking at doing? What are some of the needs out there that you've got some facts on?
Well, what we're looking at is providing some assistance, a reimbursement fund set up through the Department of Public Instruction for school districts that needed to access some extra dollars to make sure every kid was able to get a milk or a juice during the mid-morning juice or milk break. So it was really set up in a way that, in Fargo and my district, we have 2 elementary schools where a good number of students are on free and reduced milk. And so we wanted to make sure that those kids were getting the nutrition that they needed so they could, perform better in school.
Now, Joe, you're part of the education committee. I got to be honest with you, Joe. I see this. I go, look, kids are in school. We make a $1.3 billion investment in K through 12 in North Dakota. North Dakota is flush. Let's make sure that we're giving these young kids the best resources, best opportunity to learn and grow. You were in this committee here, and you said no to help with the milk and the mid-morning snack. Why vote no on this?
Well, Chris, I mean, it really came down to the fact that not a single school district came in and supported this bill. And I guess, when we look at spending taxpayer dollars, we have to assess both, is there a utility for the expenditure, and is there a need? And if it's not going to be utilized, and it couldn't adequately be expressed who was going to be utilizing this and how many students actually needed it, how many actually would sign up for it, and those kind of things. When I can't get that information, it's hard for me to assess whether or not we should support a program like this. So it's not about, for me, it wasn't about providing milk to kids. We're doing that already through breakfast and lunch programs. But the question was, do we want to provide this as an extra resource from the state? And we didn't have enough information to give us the decision we needed to make to cast a yes vote on this. And it simply came down to that. And I guess, that was my whole question behind this. I contacted our superintendent in Fargo Public Schools, and he said, we're fine. We actually would prefer not to have any state dollars coming into this program, because then we would give up some amount of say on when we could serve the milk and those kind of things. And so, for me, it was just a matter of, is this a good expenditure of resources? And I couldn't justify the expenditure, even though it was a relatively small amount compared to what some of the other numbers we talk about through the session. So that's
Joe,
where
let me ask you this.
A lot of my colleagues felt.
You go out and you buy a Ferrari, and you try to run that Ferrari on water. Is that an effective strategy?
Clearly not. I would recommend against that. And I've never driven a Ferrari, but I guess maybe they do run on water.
Here's why I bring this up. Yeah, maybe in Spain they do, but here's why I bring this up, because we're spending $1.3 billion a year on K through 12, and then you've got young kids in there. You and I both know this, Joe. If you're hungry, how are you going to be able to effectively ingest information, apply it, retain it? So to say, hey, you know what, let's go out there and support some young kids that may need some help to make sure that we're going to have an even better investment in this quote-unquote Ferrari. What's wrong with that?
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, Chris. The idea that our school districts aren't providing what the kids are needing is, I think, ludicrous. I think our school districts are doing a terrific job in this state, and let's let them make some of those decisions. Fargo Public Schools funds this through their foundation. There's a lot of other creative ways to give a kid a snack milk break and those kind of things. We don't need to constantly be inserting state dollars, because if you keep giving more state dollars, you lose some local control. And that's what I'm afraid of. We want our superintendents and our principals to be able to make these good decisions. And what I'm frustrated with in this whole situation is the fact that the the Democrats they're making this big case about how we're being immoral by not providing milk to kids, and they're turning around and the day before the whole legislature even votes on this, they're sending out fundraising letters on this issue. They're asking their members to contribute because the Republicans are being so immoral. And I ask, what's the morality in that, using this issue to fundraise? I don't particularly care for that, and I'm not here to play those kind of games.
Josh, I want to give you a chance to respond to that because I think Joe brings up a great point. You had your state party send out yesterday a fundraising email, and it said this: they have crossed a line, talking about the Republicans, they've crossed a line of morality, and we won't stand quietly by. And in this email, there are links to go to the North Dakota Democrat Party and give money to the state party, not to Kids for Milk. Your comments?
Well, I can definitely see how some people would be upset by that. I actually have heard from a number of people who, support the milk program and support the funding for the milk, but also saw that that was, probably not an appropriate thing for the state party to do. But looking back, I wouldn't change the fact that we're having this conversation about the need for kids to have access to milk or juice during the mid-morning break.
Josh, I want to give you a chance because what I'm hearing from Joe is he doesn't really see that there's a need for it. The information I've received, it looks like there's obviously some specific numbers of kids out there that are in the free or the lunch program. So tell Joe, if you will, and the rest of us, what is the specific need out there?
Well, the information we looked at after visiting with the staff at the Department of Public Instruction, there's approximately 13,000 kindergarten through third graders throughout the state that qualify for free and reduced lunch. So we use that as our number. So that's where the initial $1.2 million allocation came from, or the proposal for the allocation came from. And then in talking with the staff and recognizing that other districts had this supplied and didn't necessarily have a need to access these type of funds, went back and looked, and they said in previous, when they had the milk break dollars from the federal government, less than 50% of school districts actually access these dollars. So I went in and made a change to that allocation for 45% over the biennium, which came up with that $560,000 number.
And Josh, last question for you, quick answer, please. What is the amount of money that you're looking to allocate for this program?
We're looking at $560,000, which would reach approximately 6,000 kids throughout the state, kindergarten through third grade.
That's like, what, an hour of sales tax revenue here in the state or something? Guys, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it very much. I know we'll have you both back, and keep up the great work during this legislative session. Again, Representative Joe Heilman and Representative Josh Boucher, both in Bismarck. I think it's an interesting bill. When we talk about making an investment in our future, we spend a lot of money on education. Is it a good idea for us to make sure that the kids that are in these classes have the best opportunity to learn, ingest information, and obviously utilize it? I think we probably do. Stay close. Coming up, big day at NDSU. We've got a special treat for you that you may not find anywhere else. And as always, join our conversation. Do you think the state should support this milk snack program or not? Go to 630POV.com.